Hey folks, and welcome to a new live episode of Off the Rack. I'm Sal.
And I'm Tiffany.
This is a comic book review show where we take comic books that we read from the past week and we tell you about them and review them, and then we recommend comics that come out this week that we think you should check out. And between that time, we also will give you a book of the week, our favorite book that we've read from the past week, and give it a special place of distinction.
Ta-da!
In addition to that, we also, of course, talk about the news and thoughts on the world's events when it comes to comic books specifically and comic book related media. So today, James Gunn unexpectedly dropped a costume reveal that is particularly pertinent to his purview because, of course, it is the Superman movie costume. We got David Corn Sweat in his straight up Superman suit, and we'll talk about that in depth in a little bit. But before we do, I should remind you that we're trying this out, a little thing. So if you're watching the show live, and of course you should be watching the show live, and if you're not, you should be subscribed and then click the bell for notifications and then turn your notifications on so you know when we're going live, so you can get a little notification on your phone that tells you, hey, ComicPop's going live really soon, or they're live right now. You should check them out and jump in because there is a poll going on in the chat right now that allows you to vote on your opinions, share your opinions without actually having to raise your hand in the classroom. In addition to that, we also want to say this show is sponsored by viewers like you. If you're watching the show live, you can sponsor today's show by using Super Chats. Ask a question or comment, we'll read it here on the show. And apropos of that, we did just do a huge live show with one Joshua Williamson, writer of House of Brainiac and so much more. That episode was live on Friday, the day before Free Comic Book Day.
Yeah.
And
Did you do that on purpose?
Yes. Well, the plan was originally it was going to be on Free Comic Book Day, and I said no, let's have it on Friday, the day before, so people don't feel like they have to choose one or the other. I know that a lot of people have, a lot of folks didn't have a comic book store near them, so it would have been fine. But we had a nice big crowd. We had a big audience for that show, and I'm thrilled that it was so well received. You guys were really cool and agreeable and kind and thoughtful and had some great insights and questions and commentary going on in the chat in that episode. So thank you for that. And I should say that show is available now. They're in audio format, just all 4 hours uninterrupted. That's over on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and everywhere where podcasts can be listened to, and here on this channel. So you can check out the show if you missed it out. And I talked with Joshua Williamson just today, and in addition to some thoughts on the Superman suit, he also was like, we need to do another episode like this month where we just answer all the questions that were brought up in the chat, because one of the problems we have when it's a live show, especially when we have like more than two guests, is that the conversations will go in other directions and we won't have a lot of time to answer all those questions. So we answered some of those questions, but I thought, wouldn't it be fun to just directly address every single question that came up in that show? Yeah, they're all in the thing.
They save?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, the chat saves when it's live, so we can just go back and look at them all and address them. We also had a few from the Patreon, and we addressed some of those, but not all of them, so we'll do those as well. And because I was telling him, like, one of the pitfalls of a live show like this is that, like, you could basically do the entire show and just only answer questions. That's all you do.
Yeah.
It was a thing that we ran into when we were doing our own live shows, and we used to hit milestones. Yes. And so, like, that was a thing where we were like, oh man, like, the last three were just like all questions nonstop, which is great and it's awesome and it's wonderful, but also like it leaves little room for anything else. But I want to thank Josh for suggesting the idea, Chip Zdarsky, Jeremy Adams, Dennis Culver for swinging by the show and making it a special treat for you guys. And we loved it. Everybody had a good time. Everybody responded. Everybody had fun. Yes. And so I'm hoping that I'm saying the guests had fun. Yeah. And I'm hoping that
everyone had fun.
We that we do it again sometime. Of course, Free Comic Book Day was also this past Saturday. Hopefully everybody had a good Free Comic Book Day. Free Comic Book Day to you. And we got a number of free books as well that we're going to talk a little bit about.
Are these all the free? No, these aren't all the free.
No, there's some of them are just books that we got.
Oh, okay.
But we did read some of them. But in addition to Free Comic Book Day, it's something that I like to shell out is like, we don't just do free comic books at Free Comic Book Day. Any comic book store worth their salt is also going to do some kind of fun sale. But here are a few of those books that we got. I didn't get a chance to actually read some of them. Like, I didn't get a chance to read the Energon universe that I really wanted to.
Well, I'll leave that
but I did read SpiderMan and Blood Hunt and Absolute Power. So we also enjoyed some sales that were going on at Free Comic Book Day, And so we'll share with you, since you guys are here for comic books, some of the books that we got.
Here's the most important one.
Oh, thank you. The most important one is, of course, my Batman Predator 3. I think I have 1 or 2 of them, but not all 4 of them. So I'm thrilled that I got this. This was originally $10, but at their 50% off sale, $5. $5 for all 4 issues. Why not? Doctor Strange, I believe it's Strange Tales. A lot of these books, by the way, were half off.
They were all half off.
Every book.
Well, yeah, all the books.
Yeah, every trade we got was half off. The Dynamite series for Gargoyles, this odd pairing of Spider-Man, even this Ninja Turtle Stranger Things crossover that I really wanted. I was like, is that encompassed in the crossover, or in the 50% off sale? They were like, oh yeah, we also have Gen 13. Don't forget that. I don't have that one. Cy Spurrier's Ghost Rider, for those who are like anticipating Tiffany's coverage of that. This epic collection of Spider-Man, I didn't have it, so I'm like, all right, you know what? I'm gonna grab it. And this beautiful oversized hardcover edition of Batman Bride of the Demon, which of course I don't have. I only had Birth of the Demon, which of course we did on back issues. We also have Donny Cates's.
I bought this for you, people.
Entire run of Doctor Strange.
I bought this for you because I guess I have to do it at some point.
Yeah,
it also has Damnation in it.
That's right. Oh, great! That's great.
It's got all of it.
So it covers everything.
It's just the whole thing.
The whole shebang.
The whole shebang.
That Donny Cates does not remember making. Cool.
Knights of X.
Knights of X.
We got a little Moon Knight Volume 2 from Jed McKay.
Because you have Volume 1 already.
I did. These I got at an extra discount. Well, this one I got at an extra discount. I got Stillwater Volume 2. This is Chip Zdarsky's Stillwater.
Yes.
It was $3.
$3.
It was $1.50.
$1.50 for all of Stillwater.
Yeah. I also picked up Snicked just because I couldn't help it.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't help it. I have to check this out. I have no idea.
Yeah.
I have no thoughts, anticipations or not. I also grabbed Phantom Road Volume 1. I know I already own it, but I was like, let me have the trade of it. That way I can loan it out to people.
That's true.
And then I grabbed this nice hardcover of Carmen. Again, it was at a discount. It was $15, so I guess it was like $7.50.
$7.50.
But yeah, this is Guillaume March's Carmen.
Oh, cool.
So I loved. I do like me a hardcover. I know you're not such a big fan sometimes, but I do like them. So I wanted to grab that. And then what trip to the comic book store wouldn't be complete with that? At least some Sailor Moon stuff. So picked up Sailor V, the oversized, large. I like them this size.
Yeah.
It's more fun. It's less portable. Like a little manga is way easier.
To absolutely.
Bag, but I do like these. They're so pretty.
I agree.
A little. You can't see it, but they're shiny, shimmery.
Oh, that's fun. Splendid. So that's a little smattering of what we got at Free Comic Book Day. Yeah, and as a result, we only really needed to hit up one comic book store.
Yeah, we had a good time.
Yeah.
We really enjoyed it. I mean, we could have gone to more, but we spent a really long time.
We did
crawling through all the shelves and checking out back issues bins and all of that. So yeah,
absolutely. So let's talk about some books. Unless there's any news in the world of comics that we failed to remember or talk about. I think we're good.
Wait, really?
Yeah. Is there anything else? I mean, we'll talk about the suit later.
Oh, later. Oh,
we should talk about comic books first.
Are we doing a bit?
No bit.
All right, let's do some comics.
Well, we read the Free Comic Book Day 2024 Blood Hunt / XMen #1. I'm sure a lot of people want to know our opinions on this one because not only is it a little prelude to the event that also launched, and we have that
the same week.
But also it has a little tease for, at the very least, what Uncanny X-Men from Gail Simone and David Marquez is gonna look like / have in tone.
Yeah.
So Tiffany, what were your thoughts on the prelude to Blood Hunt?
Oh, Prelude to Blood Hunt.
Or this Free Comic Book Day thing. From Jade McKay and really Sarah McShelley.
This is just like, hey, like the opening salvo to Blood Hunt, like the very first issue, really drops you into the action.
Yeah, it does.
Which usually it makes sense. You know, either we're gonna get a little let's go back, or they're just like, who cares? It's there's a Free Comic Book Day thing coming out. I guess they're kind of assuming if you're reading Blood Hunt, you're probably a comic book fan and you know that Free Comic Book Day is a thing.
Yep.
And so this just gives you a little background for some of the other individuals at the start of Blood Hunt who seem to be having a bit of a problem.
Yes, and also we'll have a bit of a tie-in.
Yeah, for sure. But it just kind of sets up where a few characters are right now in terms of their involvement.
Yep.
And I liked it. I liked Sarah Pichelli's art. I thought it was a nice compliment to the Pepe Larraz art in the main book. I thought she did a really great job.
I agree.
McKay's really going for it with his SpiderMan in this.
Yeah, it's like an audition tape.
I got to get in as much as I can. Just go.
Well, especially because Peter is not in Blood Hunt. Like he's gonna get a tie-in, but for the most part, it seems like the main Spider-Man of Blood Hunt is gonna be Miles.
Sure.
Yeah, and he didn't have to do anything. It doesn't matter what's going on in Zeb Wells' book. Spider-Man's just, clearly if you turn the page, you can see Spider-Man, you're gonna be like, oh, cool, and then keep reading, and that's what they're banking on. But he just is in the middle of a fight, and then one of the
it's fun looking
dark force powered characters, Dr. Dark explodes,
or Dr. Dork,
according to Spider-Man. Yeah, that's right.
He just explode. I really love that. Like another unproblematic win for old Spidey. It's like, oh,
yeah.
I thought this was really as it was unfolding in the first issue of Blood Hunt, I was like, clever.
Yep.
Clever Jed.
Yeah, it's true. McKay being Marvel's golden boy, working on what?
He's
5
like a
titles
quiet
at this
golden
point.
boy. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I think it's it feels like sometimes people are only reading 1 or 2 of his books and may not realize how much he's writing.
Yeah, currently. And how much of an influence he has over the Marvel universe, which incidentally, because the books he's writing are pretty small in terms of scales, Doctor Strange and Moon Knight, but Avengers as well. He manages to tie these in, and it doesn't feel as grand or as expansive or as explosive as some other writers who maybe could influence the universe.
Right. No, it is nice though, because it's at least several of the main components that we see in Blood Hunt are characters that McKay is in control of right now.
Yeah.
So that his event isn't necessarily slamming into too many other characters' ongoing narratives right now.
Mm-hmm.
For sure, it will hit some of them, but for the most part, it's Moon Knight characters, they're going to be involved.
Yep.
You were on board for that already if you were reading Moon Knight.
Exactly.
Same with Doctor Strange. I guess with the Avengers as well. I'm not reading his Avengers run right
Neither
now.
am I.
But I really appreciate his consideration.
Yeah.
He's in a position right now where he's I can make this work.
Yeah.
And you can feel from the intro to this Free Comic Book Day one. It's just funny because I didn't get the same sort of joy that I got out of the actual first issue of Blood Hunt.
Completely. It feels totally different.
I don't know if I had read this first, if this had come out a couple weeks ago, if I would have been super excited, I would have been yeah, I'm going to read it. It's fun. And I like McKay's writing and Pichelli's art, obviously not doing the main book, but it's good top tier art.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it has the same energy as the actual first issue. So I don't know if this would have been a great sell for me, but this is just a great companion piece to the first issue, I feel like.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it was a fun book, or at least a fun tease. I don't know if I wasn't sold on the event because of it, but that's because I don't really care. You throw Dracula in there, I'm no, I don't really care. But it was fine.
What did Dracula ever do to you?
He bored me.
He tried to marry Storm.
Yeah, that's true. That was cool. But that was 45, 50 years ago. So yeah, it was cool. It was a good introduction, even though it tonally doesn't necessarily fit in with the first issue. But that's nice. It's a nice little you get 2 different things.
I guess.
So yeah, and then there was the XMen, the elephant in the room, so to speak.
It's not really the elephant in the room. I think this is just getting people who are looking forward to this excited and people who aren't certain what's coming next, a little taste. Now, of course, I just got done saying that this first issue of Blood Hunt for Free Comic Book Day doesn't really feel like the first issue of Blood Hunt. So we can't really say for certain that this, X-Men backup is going to have the exact tonal feel of what is coming for X-Men, but totally. I do feel like it might actually be removed from there. I don't know.
Yeah, this feels more like the first.
This does feel like a mini issue.
It feels like a mini issue / the prelude to a double-sized issue.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, so this is here we go. We're gonna give you a little taste of what's to come.
Yeah, Krakoa's in the rearview mirror. Here's the new status quo, so to speak. Here's what the tone. I mean, this is the first new X-Men. This is the first X-Men anything people are getting in a post-Krakoa world. It's giving you an idea about what the X-Men is gonna feel like. Reading X-Men is gonna feel like, or at the very least, even if it isn't, even because there are 3 different X-Men premiere titles, only one of which is written by Gail Simone. So it's hard to tell what the tone's going to be. And it wouldn't be fair to say that this is going to be what X-Men's going to feel like, look like going forward. But Marvel put this in here and they are really excited about it. And they made the decision to promote it in such a way where, like, you saw the logos and the art pieces, and this is one of the writers of the 3 premier X-Men books. So one can't help but think about it in terms of like, this is setting the tone. This is what the new X-Men's going to feel like.
Yeah, I mean, I get that from a marketing perspective. You're putting out, this is your book for Marvel. I mean, they did put out a couple of other things, but like, this is probably the bigger one that you put out,
I would assume.
And I mean, here's the thing. It's a lot to judge an entire upcoming run on, like, essentially
on like 4 pages,
like 6-7 pages in here. But yeah, no, it's very different. To me, for folks who were maybe not sold on Krakoa, right? Or for people who were sold on Krakoa
but are ready for something new.
You're ready for something new, or for who missed like the like early. This felt early 2000s.
Yeah,
for some reason, even though I was definitely not reading
X-Men really at that time in the early 2000s. Yeah, that's fair.
But like when I go back and I read books from that time period, it gives me that like feeling for some reason. Then you're gonna probably enjoy this. You're probably going to be excited about what's to come next. And I think this was smart.
Yeah,
it's people who are gonna get off the bus, the train post Krakoa, who were just like, I just enjoyed Krakoa.
Yes. This is a great permission slip to do that.
No, but I was going to say, they were probably going to get off no matter what.
Right.
Like, this isn't like, I can't believe you told everybody basically it was okay to stop reading. No, like, they were going to get off no matter what.
Yes.
You took a shot. Maybe you caught a couple of people who weren't interested. Like, they'll read this and be like, oh, maybe I'll stick around for a little bit, see where this is going. Because this definitely is like we're setting a tone. We're giving you like an idea of where the world is currently, with the the fact that it's like everybody hates mutants again. We're back to how it used to be.
Yeah.
And also like there's a big mystery going on, right? So like they're trying to like whet your appetite.
Yes.
And like for me, it didn't necessarily whet my appetite, but I think I made it pretty clear that more than likely, like, Krakoa was my period for like enjoying X titles, and maybe I'll jump in here and there. I mean, we'll see. I might like jump in on the first couple of titles just to discover there's one out there for me.
Yeah.
But I did not make it a hidden thing where it was just like, I'll probably, hang it. No, probably not. No.
Yeah.
No.
I also read it, and I didn't like it, but I was never going to, so there it is. The art's good.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The art was fun. Again, it gave me like the character designs for no reason gave me like 2000s.
Yeah.
Vibe.
Yeah, it feels,
and there's nothing wrong with that.
No,
you know what I mean?
sometimes
like there's a level of nostalgia. Like people make books that look like the 90s. They look like books that look like the 80s. You know what I mean? Like there's a level of nostalgia.
And there's also
there.
there's a deliberate decision. I mean, when in the preview for this run, every logo for every book that's coming out is deliberately using an old 90s logo. Like all the X-Men logos, even all the side books, the Phoenix, Storm, X-Force, etc. They're all getting their 90s look, except for NYX, which didn't exist in the 90s, but they 90s-ified even NYX, which I thought was a bold decision.
Yeah.
It's more the same.
And again, some people are looking for that, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Like every time we talk about Krakoa, there's people who are just like, I'm loving this. And there's people who are like, I don't care for it.
Yeah.
That's fine. Like, luckily there's been so much history for X-Men that
there's always room for another one.
Was going on. Hopefully maybe you went back, you delved into some books maybe you might have missed out on, some runs, because there's so much to read. It feels almost impossible to have it all fresh in your mind. So, maybe this is be something for you.
Well, and don't forget, Jed McKay is also writing one of the X-Men books. So, you never know. Because the other thing is, like, there are going to be... Ewing is getting an X-Men book. You're getting X-Men, Uncanny X-Men, and Exceptional X-Men. And I think, they're all three going to have very strong directions/tones because of the people who are writing them. Al Ewing notwithstanding. I don't think that Al Ewing is I think Al Ewing is an exceptional writer. I find that Al Ewing is quicker to blend than the other two. Ewing's like, well, what are we doing? What are we trying to fit into?
Yeah.
When he steps out and really pushes it, like it's it's incredible.
Yeah.
But when he's playing ball and he's just kind of keeping within the wheelhouse, it's like, yeah, he knows how to set the tone,
Yeah.
or keep the tone, maintain the tone.
Mhm.
But I also have a very strong theory about this whole thing, because, like, you're getting, there's a lot of people talking about X-Men now, where they're like, there's too many books right now. There's too many X-Men
Right,
books
it's not
right
Al
now.
Ewing, it's Eve Ewing. I keep
Oh,
forgetting
that's
that.
right. It is
I
Eve Ewing.
keep
Oh my God, I'm so
forgetting.
sorry.
I
Yeah, that's
keep
right.
forgetting.
And they're not related in any way.
No. You know what it is? It's in, like, it's because they're just using last names.
Yes.
I'm just so in
Yeah,
that,
I'm just so used to.
I'm so used to talking about
It's
Al
true.
Ewing.
It's true. Might be. Yeah. To reset that,
So
I
was
am
like,
not.
I didn't remember that at all, and then I was
Yeah, no, because I was like, even while I was saying it, I was like,
That's not
oh wow,
correct.
because even only Al Ewing is going to be remaining from the old run. No, that's not true. He's
No.
leaving too.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's Eve Ewing. Yeah, I don't know her writing well enough for me to
By the
speak
way,
one way or the other.
we appreciate you, chat, but post commenters,
Oh yeah,
just delete it. So we already fixed
yeah,
it.
we already got it. But yeah. So as far as that, but I do have a big theory about, like, because people are like, ooh. There were too many X-Men books. There's too much going on. Fall of X is a nightmare. It's too unruly. All this stuff is happening. Get ready for that to happen again, because there are 3 premiere X-Men books.
Yeah.
They're all going to have their own tone and their own style and their own directions. But
Yep.
if you think that they're not all going to tie into one big mega event that's also going to tie in with the other 6 books that are coming out as well, Phoenix, Storm, etc., then you're crazy. We're gonna get like a Fatal Attractions Executioner song. I mean, Tom Brevoort remembers when that happened, and he was like an architect during that time, and clearly there is like a tone that they want to strike and remind people of. If you think like making an Onslaught-esque sprawling event that also connects all these books and makes all this essential reading is not part of the equation, then you're deluding yourself. So get ready for that.
Yeah, I mean, like,
just get ready for that in like December.
Well, I feel like it's funny because it's I noticed there was a comment in chat that mentioned like that they don't feel like Krakoa has been all as like amazing as everyone claims it was like at all times. Like, I'm paraphrasing.
Sure.
But I don't think anyone claimed it from start to end.
Certainly no one said it was better than any other like period.
Right. But I would say that like every time frame with a area of the Marvel or DC universe that has multiple books that fall under the same umbrella, there's always going to be a few standouts, and there's always going to be some that people are like kind of like
right,
or even like ebbs and flows. Like it's just it
also I mean, like,
happens during these like big moments, right?
Yeah, especially if everybody was kind of excited, like if seemingly everybody was excited when like Hickman like made his big splash in the beginning with Hawks and Pox when it first came out. You're gonna have like a lot of initial enthusiasm from what sounds like a majority of people for a new initiative, especially one with like would seem to have a lot of coordination and time and thought and effort. And then of course you're gonna have contrarians who are just like, I don't like the fact that this is so well received.
Well, I was
so I'm
going
going
to say,
to have
I
to
think
buck it.
if what you're hearing people, and I don't know this for a fact because I'm not really like ear to the ground on what other people are talking about in terms of Krakoa.
Absolutely.
But like for me, it always struck me as what was amazing was the idea of framing this time period in this way, which really opened the doorway to switch things up and try new teams and put people together that wouldn't normally have a good reason to be together and finally have a reason to be together, whether it succeeded or failed. I feel like that's the amazing part of it, and with all of the like inter-office shenanigans that were going on at Marvel while this was happening, you know, like the person who started it wasn't here for most of it at this point,
that's true.
Right? And how like some folks tried to like come in and try to pick things up and clean things up and did the best that they could. Like, I think that's amazing. Regardless of how you feel about the quality from start to end, I do think it's pretty phenomenal that like a team came in and attempted to fix it and make sense of,
or at the very least just take it another direction.
But they picked the ball up and they tried to like make it work. And I do think that that's actually very amazing. And like for me, like it's like two like mountains of like real enjoyment, and there's like this period in the center where I'm like, I can feel that they don't know what's happening. Right? It feels like there isn't a direction. But reading it afterwards, like if you were someone reading it post everything happening, when we come to the end of this whole thing, you'll never have. That's what I've realized, honestly, about like when I missed out on these big events.
Yeah.
Because it's like when you're in the moment, when you're in these time periods, right? Like you're living month to month. You don't know what's coming next. You have guesses, and you're watching like people leave books, or like books like die off, or things get canceled or coming back. And I'm not just talking about X-Men, I'm talking about
anything,
all series, right? But when you read it afterwards, it's already happened. You have it all in your hand, and you know everything's going to be okay.
Well, and you've read where it ends up, and you've also read conjecture and heard other people's opinions. Like you are in a completely different place than when it's happening.
Yeah. So it's like, it'll be really, really interesting to see people who didn't experience any of this, or maybe it was like, I'm going to wait till it finishes and then I'll go back and I'll grab it. Because we're definitely seeing people now who are like, all right, I'm starting at the beginning and I'm going to catch up. Because now that things are being finished, nothing was abandoned. I mean, plot threads are always going to be abandoned. People forget about them. Like you can't get all of them. Typically, they're going to do their best.
Yep.
But like it's like safer now in a way.
Yeah.
This felt like those of us who started from the beginning of it felt like we were like explorers together. Yeah. Like we were on a little expedition, blazing trails together. So I don't know. It's kind of neat.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Anyway, sorry.
In addition to this. We also have I'm
gonna find it. It's right here.
Here we go. Spider-Man and the Ultimate Universe from Free Comic Book Day. This the Free Comic Book Day with Marvel, it's never just gonna be one thing. It's always gonna be like a bunch of things. Although it's funny, we were talking about this on the live show with Josh, and like I think one of our favorite Free Comic Book Day issues was like this little mini comic that Bendis and I want to say it was Jim Chung.
Time?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was like this little like New Avengers book where they fought like in the snow. It was just a really cool issue. But it was like, a real thing.
Yeah.
As opposed to like a sampler.
Yeah.
So Spider-Man Ultimate Universe Free Comic Book Day. This has a whole bunch of creators, including Zeb Wells, Ryan Stegman, Dennis Camp, Juan Frigeri, and Al Ewing and Iban Coelho. These are 3 different collections. We've got Spider-Man, Ultimate Universe, and Venom. The Spider-Man one, Ryan Stegman is, I think one of the like most like celebrated new, when I say new, I mean relatively new Spider-Man artists. And just really always, whenever he returns to the character in that universe, it's always a lot of fun to see just like Stegman just inject this kind of like classic image feel with modern sensibilities, and also this exuberance and energy that is and a level of quality that genuinely the Amazing Spider-Man title should be displaying at all times. That said, the story is Pete goes on a date with somebody I've never heard of to Chuck E. Cheese, and the characters go nuts and looking for Peter Parker, and Spider-Man springs into action, punches them, and then Norman Osborn menacingly reminds you that he's going to be in the next issue in a couple of issues. So it's terrible. It's just awful. I'm sorry. I have no joy from this. There's nothing good about it. Like from Peter's depiction to the random character that I don't recognize to like just the action is fine. There's one moment of levity where Spider-Man punches one of the animatronics in the eye, and he says something that like I would say or write, where it's like, Spider-Man punched him in the eye and says, "Good, sweet, holy Lord, my eye." And I'm like, that's funny. But, divorced from the context, that's funny, but otherwise I it just seems kind of weird. And that's the thing, is like it's very much just like this is you could tell this is what Zeb Wells wants to write. Like this is Zeb Wells's cup of tea. It's off kilter, it's odd, it's goofy, it's dark, but in a kind of funny way. It feels very, almost I don't want to say it's Sam Raimi inspired, but it feels, and when I say Raimi, I don't mean Great and Powerful Oz or Spider-Man Raimi. I mean like Evil Dead Raimi. I mean Drag Me to Hell Raimi. And even then, like I don't know if Spider-Man month to month, week to week is the place for that. But again, I'm not the one who's writing it or making it a #1 selling book every month. So clearly I'm the wrong target demographic for this. But it's just very much his tone. But like, when you think about like the Paul of it all and all that crap from before, like that feels very like, especially comparing it to like when Wells really shines, especially the Hellions of Wells. It's like, oh, this is the thing he wants to be doing. He wants to like put Peter in a weird place or see Peter in weird instances and derive a kind of like robot chickeny humor out of it. So I'm not here for that.
Okay.
But it was free, so I picked it up. And and then there's Norman Osborn who's like, I'm gonna be in the book later, and I'm like, yeah, I gotcha, yeah, all right, I know what a cliffhanger is. Good job. And I can't get excited, like I can't even really even like say, oh well, I'll just wait and see, because of the teases that Marvel has been putting up, where they're like, oh, Peter Parker is gonna become a goblin again, and he's gonna torment the Marvel universe, and he's gonna be like, I'm just so not here for that, like, and it's weird. I live in a weird world where it's like, oh man, like I can't find joy from this, but then you get like this gorgeous Ed McGuinness cover of like the Return of Green Goblin, and it's like, oh man, that's really fun. Apparently I just like Spider-Man art now.
Yeah, you like the art.
I just like looking at Spider-Man at this point. Like I really can't even read Spider-Man and find happiness. Moving on to the Ultimate Universe, the Ultimates are springing into action.
Hang on, but he didn't buy. This is a free comic book.
Yeah, this is a free comic book. So
sorry.
no.
Sorry.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Yeah, if you're buying that free comic book, but the Ultimate book,
someone's screwing you over, and you go talk to your comic book store.
But yeah, the Avengers is also, or the Ultimates, I should say. They're going into one of the Maker's like secret bunkers where he's keeping like trophies and monuments to him unmaking the Marvel universe over the decades.
Behold my stuff.
But yeah, and they're just looking at like characters you won't see, like dead Black Bolt and stuff, dead Sentry, dead Wolverine. And you're like, oh, really? Okay. And the Captain America's like, if we're gonna free. Also, I was like, oh, Cap's free. Did I miss that? Whatever. But Cap is leading the Ultimates, and the Ultimates are essentially Iron Lad, Doctor Doom, and Captain America.
Nice.
And they're like, we need another one. And Cap's like, well, I remember superheroes when I was in World War II, and one of them was the Human Torch.
Not Johnny.
Not Johnny, the robot Human Torch.
Is he a robot or is he an android?
He's an android.
Okay.
But yeah, it's really cool. And I was like, that's a really neat idea. And how Cap lights his fire is dope. And I'm like, okay, that's a really neat idea. Like this concept of, we're going to show you something you've never seen. Like you've never seen an Avengers like this. You've never seen an Ultimates like this. You've never seen a Marvel universe like this. And we're going to deliberately push other characters and other concepts off of the table because you'll see them in other places, and this is something else. And it's like, that's really neat. And then you find out like, oh right, Dennis Camp wrote this, it wasn't Hickman, and you're like, that blended really well.
Nice.
And then they tease you about what's going on, and there's
sure. I haven't had a chance to read this one because you had this one.
It's cool. And then there's a Venom one. Eddie is the King in Black.
This is Al Ewing.
Yeah, and that's Al Ewing.
Al Ewing, not Eve Ewing.
Yeah, and I don't know why I didn't see Eddie looking like the King in Black coming, but like obviously everyone should because Null is coming. Yeah, it's neat. It was neat, but I'm not reading Venom, so like I was completely lost, and it made no attempt to contextualize it. But who cares? It's Venom. Like you're the reading, or you're not. And it's fine. They also even like reminded you that Null's coming by being like, the Venom War is coming, and it's also
nice. Can I give out a quick, like, we don't do this anymore, but ComicPop No Prize?
Please, yeah.
So good.
Sal wants pictures of Spider-Man. He has become J. Jonah Jameson. It's true. I really do. Yeah, I really do.
I was like, oh, okay, we got to go back.
Yeah, like you'll see me like occasionally when I'm on social media, like I'll just see like a really, really great picture of Spider-Man, and I'm like, oh, like, retweet. That's cool. Way to go.
Yep.
Yep. Our own Gavin Guidry actually lit my fire on that one when it came to like drawing Spider-Man in ways where I'm like, man, look at him with his torn mouth, or torn mask seeing his mouth, or I'm gonna buy it 11 by 17. Boom. But then there's Absolute Power from DC. This is a prelude to the big event called Absolute Power, which may or may not have something to do with a big sweeping Ultimate DC universe. Don't think about that. Like the way to enjoy this, I think, is just to try to look at it story to story. So
they were able to center Absolute over the word below it. I said they were able to center Absolute over the word below it.
Yes. But don't you see, Tiffany? You pointing that out was irrelevant because they actually did use the Absolute from this logo on that DC mock-up that Bleeding Cool made.
No,
so
it's not irrelevant.
No, it is because I said it. Anyway, this is
you're irrelevant.
That's very true. So this is written by Mark Waid and is drawn by Dan Mora, and it is well, at least the event is. The actual issue itself is actually drawn by Mikkel Yannon. And
That's fine too.
Yeah, I know. And it looks like, and this is great. Like, this is like, oh, thank you. Like, DC understood the assignment. They open it with Failsafe the robot, and he's already working for Amanda Waller. And I'm like, I didn't read, like, I've been reading Batman. Has that happened yet? No. But we're establishing, like, we do this whole thing where we build, up a D-list supervillain or character, Dylan Moore, aka Haywire, and just have him like being led through the world of absolute power and what you can expect from like what Amanda Waller's status quo is now and what her influence is and all that. And the Clock King is giving him a tour and contextualizing him and the audience with what's going on. And then of course we dispatch him, and then we establish like we've been killing all kinds of characters behind the scenes, including Zebraman, characters that you won't miss, that it's okay to kill. But you might see the death of Dr. Phosphorus nearby, so who knows. Yeah, so we wrap it up with Amanda Waller essentially demanding Dreamer, another character that like nobody's using right now, to kind of tell her if her plan is working and where this is all heading. And it wraps up with, the Justice League in chains and Amanda Waller and her like army of failsafe robot counterparts for all the Justice League standing over them. So like, yes, she's winning, but Dreamer's like, I'm sorry, I just don't see anything. And you're just like, okay, all right. Like, we're still going to try. Amanda Waller is clearly on the path to this like dark future, but there you go.
Yeah.
So it was cool. It was a fun read. It was tense and interesting, and I was on board. Yannen's art is always a treat to see. But yeah, it's cool. The rest of it is just info. Are you not really do you not know what's been going on at DC forever? Well, here you go.
That's a good idea.
Like, here are the main players. Oh, by the way, also read House of Brainiac. Here's a 2-page ads. But this is what Failsafe is. This is what Amanda Waller is. This is what the House of Brainiac is. These are the events that led to Amanda Waller's place now, from Dark Crisis to Lazarus Planet to Night Terrors to Beast World, and also all those books have trades, and you can go buy them and pre-order them, and they're available. This is a really smart display. Also, a little tease for Absolute Power, just showing you Dan Moore's like juicy art and a couple of pages where we see Superman like try and stop a couple of like criminals, thieves, whatever, and then some like a twist occurs in a way that you're like,
that's a really crazy image.
It is.
We talked about this image before. I feel like I've seen this.
This is brand new.
This is brand new.
This has never been seen.
Dream this.
Yeah.
I feel like I've seen this. Did I slide?
Right? But it's great. It's just, Superman gets shot and then plummets. It's just,
it's not something you normally see.
It's true. So yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, neat.
Oh, this book also firmly establishes that Ali is definitely working with Amanda Waller. Like, so, it seemed in the Green Arrow series that Oliver Queen was definitely using Amanda Waller. He probably still is, but also he's definitely helping her out in this. I mean, people are dying on his watch. But yeah, this was dope and smart. It's just a smart way to be like, hey, this is what we're doing and this is where we're going. So, pay attention. So that was cool.
And by the way, if you didn't get a chance to get at your comic book store, first of all, sometimes they have extras. So if you get to go this week, see if they have any of the extra ones. You might be able to pick some up. Also, you might be able to, in a week or two, sometimes they end up putting these up on like Comixology.
That's true.
Like they give them some time so that you go to your comic book store and find out. But I would, if you're going there to pick up your weekly books, ask them if they have any extras if you didn't get out this weekend.
That's true.
Otherwise, there's definitely like when we went, they didn't have too many of the indie ones, so like I'm going to wait for them to be up on Comixology so I can read them that way.
I agree.
Yeah, looking forward to that.
Yeah, same. And those are all the free comic day books, right?
Yeah, I mean, I have some at home that I peeked through. Like they did. James Tynion the Fourth had a whole book that was just the world of James Tynion the Fourth.
That's smart.
It was really smart. It actually had like a whole bunch of like mimetic, Something's Killing the Children, and I don't remember what the other one was, The Woods, in there, and they're like little samples, so that if you wanted to see if like maybe one of his works or something you want to jump into. I mean, there's so many. There's a lot of ads in there for other books he did as well. So if you're like interested in what type of horror stuff James Tynion has been working on, go check that out. I thought that was a really great get, and I did manage to pick that one.
Okay, nice.
Thank you.
Yeah, I also picked up the Energon Universe, but I didn't get a chance to read it, so there we are. But it is there.
I also grabbed. I didn't get a chance to pick or to look at it at all because I actually forgot I grabbed it until I went to go get the James Tynion the fourth one. But I got the Barda one. I
Yes.
didn't bring it with me though.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah, that was the other stack. In a brilliant move of synergy that actually worked out in Marvel's favor for once, as opposed to everything being delayed, Deadpool and Wolverine World War III #1 from Adam Kubert and Joe Kelly is here. This is a miniseries that will feature Deadpool and Wolverine teaming up, fighting, and all kinds of stuff. In just in time for it to become a trade when the movie comes out.
I'm glad they didn't, but I wish they had tried to use Wolverine's claws as the 3, like in the image.
Yeah, I mean, the claw marks are the 3, but it would be great if he was like stabbing up.
But I'm glad they didn't because it really would not have worked, and I recognize that. I do want you to know that. But
Yeah.
like, part of me is like, I want to see the thumbnail sketch of that where they were like, no, okay, no, we're not doing
Yeah,
that.
we'd have to place the logos. Forget it.
I did not get a chance to read this.
No, it's dope.
Is it?
I mean, okay, so I mean, it's
Who wrote this?
Joe Kelly.
Okay, thank you.
And Joe Kelly, of course, is very.
Nope.
Yep.
Nope.
You have to turn the book sideways. I don't know why
You're making me grumpy.
they would choose to do that.
Joe Kelly, you're making me grumpy. Actually, Joe Kelly probably did.
That was Kubert, but
yeah.
but you know, Joe Kelly obviously huge influence on Deadpool. Adam Kubert is just so choice. Like, why wouldn't you put a Kubert on everything? But Adam Kubert doing this made me really excited to see like his depictions of these characters, Deadpool and Wolverine in particular, but also just bloody action and it's great. There is a new character introduced who is blasting spiky energy, and it's like he's babbling incoherently and he's demanding that he wants his summer. I don't know if it's meta or not, if he's talking about his summer events or if he's just talking about like something specifically. He's not talking about summers, I don't think. But yeah, it's neat. Mystery afoot. Wolverine is hired. Deadpool is hired, irrespective of what Wolverine's doing. 2 different groups hiring Wolverine and Deadpool. One asked, one paid, and sent them to deal with this guy. They both murder him, and then Deadpool invites Wolverine to hang out, which of course Wolverine rejects, but then thinks, that's weird. That like a couple of things lined up that made me think that Deadpool was saying more than he was letting on. So he goes and investigates it, goes to Russia, finds all these like party areas that are built up that are Deadpool and Wolverine themed, only to have Wolverine be ambushed. And then Wolverine, further investigates the situation, only to find him face to face with a like jacked up, differently powered, similar to the previously dead assailants' abilities, into Deadpool, and they battle. Like it's a big bloody battle book, and yeah, why wouldn't you do that?
That's really fun because when you think about it, like Wolverine is an often crossed over character.
Yeah.
Deadpool is often crossed over as well. And so you're just like, let's just cross over the 2 crossover characters, see what happens. I mean, I guess they're doing the same thing when they had Spider-Man and Deadpool.
Yeah, or Spider-Man and Wolverine when they had Astonishing Spider-Man and Wolverine, which I believe was done by the same Kubert. But, the art really is doing a lot of the heavy lifting, despite the fact that Joe Kelly is a fantastic author and knows what he's doing and has. But I find that I would be probably less inclined to go on this journey and investigate this mystery, so to speak, if it didn't look so damn good. Fantastic stuff. Awesome book.
Right.
Fun to read.
High recommend.
I would say definitely.
Do you want to look at any super chats before we move on?
I think we definitely do some super chats. Charzy says, for the suit, that's to say the Superman suit, I love that it has trunks, but not crazy with the New 52 design choices. Then again, I didn't like Pattinson's Batman suit when first seeing it, but that grew on me greatly. So who knows? Keep being amazing, guys. You too, Charzy. Thanks for generosity, and good on you for being discerning, but also open-minded. Hulkzilla, happy Monday. Been at work, so I haven't processed the new suit for the Blue Boy Scout, but it looks cool. Glad Superman is getting a new movie. Yeah, me too. I'm glad of that as well.
Yeah.
Z-Berm, it's hard to incorporate the Trunks in live action without it looking too goofy. However, Raphael Grandpa did a design that incorporates the Trunks perfectly. That should be the suit. There's also another, I should point out, Z-Berm, thank you very much for your super chat, and great point about Grandpa. But there's another suit that also incorporated the Trunks brilliantly, and that was Christopher Reeve's suit. Nathan Chaffin says, my buddy Wesley St. Clair did a Mr. Freeze story for DC Summer Breakout #1. Could you kindly give him a shout out, please? Thank you all so much. Much love to you both. Here's a Jersey local. He's also Jersey local. Well, Wesley St. Clair, congratulations on your Mr. Freeze story. We'll definitely have to check out DC Summer Breakout #1. Absolutely. Matt Fisher, Halo, can we get a revived Iron Man series with Ted Stryker back as Iron Man and a Green Mandarin? Also, when will you be doing the Superior Spider-Man first run on back issues? The die is cast. Well, we did actually do the first run of Superior Spider-Man on back issues with one of our very earliest episodes. It was a two-parter. I'm not very satisfied with it, but it is
Does that mean a Redux is coming?
Perhaps, but I also don't want to start making back issues in a Redux only show.
All right, fair.
But yeah, I am partial to old Mandarin, but I'd rather have Fin Fang Foom than Mandarin at this point. Brandon Foley, what's your favorite live action superhero suit ever? I'd have to say probably the Iron Man suit from Iron Man 1. Just amazing. All the suits in Iron Man 1 are just so great.
It's pretty good. Yeah. That's a good answer. It's a good answer.
Right?
I don't know if I have a better answer than that. No, there's Black Manta. It's not like a
Black Manta had a great suit.
It's not a superhero suit.
No, but it is
like it's frustratingly good.
Yeah, it is
frustratingly good.
Yeah.
For a movie I didn't really care for.
For two movies you didn't care for.
Well, I know the first one was fine.
That's true. It was fine.
It wasn't like I was like, woo.
Yeah.
But like it's not not a superhero suit.
Surprisingly, actually, all the Aquaman suits, like especially Aquaman 2's Aquaman suit is pretty great.
I just feel like
I like Mera's suit as well. I think that's also fantastic.
Yeah, this just like the black, it just looked like it came out of the comic books.
It's
like really well done.
Yeah,
Like it annoys me how
and
well
Black
done
Manta,
it is.
he doesn't look like a cartoon. He doesn't look like totally CG.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Gianni P, great running to you at Zap at Free Comic Book Day. You too, Gianni. Thanks. It's always great to see you, buddy. Matt Fisher, I've loved explaining to newbies that Bastion is not Apocalypse. Yup. I don't think I've ever heard that confusion, but I love that that's a thing.
Well, I guess if you only knew that series, you might be like, well, he was the big baddie, or he was a big baddie.
Yeah,
so
you
want to make it that,
right? Jesse Gonzalez, what if the Spider-Man that appeared in X-Men '97 was the clone? Since we're still, since we are at illness or such, the how Spidey gets back from Secret Wars, it's Spider-Man 94. Like it's the character that's there is Christopher Daniel Barnes as Spider-Man. That said, he wasn't voiced, but CDB is definitely interested in being Spider-Man again, and I think that based on the success of X-Men '97 and the just embracing of it by everybody, that I would not be the least bit surprised if Spider-Man '97 was next.
Right.
Pop Culture Guy 3000. What was everyone's favorite Free Comic Book Day comic from the indies? Not exactly an indie, but I was pleased by how good Unico Awakening looks.
Yeah, like I said, I didn't get a chance to pick up too many of the indies, but then I did get at least one, so I guess it has to be the World of Jamestown and the Fourth.
Exactly. Raidu, happy Monday. Just wanted to say loved Friday's stream. Each creator was fantastic, but I need more of Chip's Canadian off-the-cuff energy in my life. It's true.
Right?
Chip.
We need to bottle that. I don't know how.
I think that's probably a bad idea. I think that you don't need everybody acting like Chip.
Everybody. I just want it.
Yeah, that's fair. All right. Well, now we get to it. A Secret Boss, good morning from Japan. We'll watch with the archive. Well, thank you very much.
Ohayou gozaimasu.
And Cora Valentine, hi diddly ho, Comic Poparinos. Just started reading Thor by Walt Simonson. Bill is the GOAT. And so are y'all. Keep up the great work. It's actually a horse. No, I'm kidding. Cora, thank you so much.
Get out.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, the Beta Ray Bill beginning, like the first Walt Simonson story that introduces Beta Ray Bill, will be recollected in a new printing of a Marvel Masterworks collection. So watch for in-stock trades and other places to get it for discount. But also, if you're interested, pre-order it, pick it up, because Beta Ray Bill's awesome and Walt Simonson's was the best. So yeah. Getting into more books. What else did you? Oh, you know what? You read Moon Knight. Let's talk about Moon Knight.
Well, that ties into
Blood Hunt.
Yeah.
Do you think? Oh, does it?
No,
Does it
actually
pay off?
No,
like,
it doesn't do anything. It's
all
just,
right,
it's
all right, just
fun.
making sure.
I read Adventures of the Moon Knight, number 5 by Jed McKay and Alessandro Cappuccio. This week, we all knew rolling into this was going to be a Blood Hunt tie-in.
Yes.
At least I hope we did.
But it also was written by the guy who was writing Blood Hunt.
Yeah.
So how do you feel?
Well, I mean, Moon Knight's been dealing with vampires so much so that like it's referenced.
Yeah, in Blood Hunt, there's a moment where they're like, "Well, you know that," and it's just
it's like Moon Knight number 18. I'm like, I do know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
How does that feel, by the way, to be like you're reading a kind of like smaller run niche character? He's gonna be probably prevalent in Blood Hunt more. Hunter's Moon himself appears in the main event, and it is spinning out of everything that's happening in here. Like it, you must be feeling pretty on the inside track.
Feels good, so
right.
Feels
I had a feeling it would.
Feels real good.
Damn right.
But no, this one, Moon Knight in particular had been dealing with vampires in like the past, obviously, like since its beginning, essentially, of McKay running it. We've been dealing with vampires, so this is completely unsurprising that it would rear its head. The way it does so is so unexpected, but completely works because I did read Blood Hunt first. I kind of wish I'd read this first. I mean, if you look at it in the order, like the list afterwards, I realized I should have read this first.
Really? This is like in the reading order before Blood Hunt 1?
Yeah, because it like reading that made me realize what was going to happen in this with the Shroud. And I was like, I should have read this first. Didn't ruin it for me regardless. Because as we all know, the way McKay's been telling these stories, it's like couched within the highlights of the Moonlight family, in quotes, talking to a therapist and kind of going over things that have been going on, right?
Mm-hmm.
This one is 8-Ball, which I think is really interesting. They're like, are you supposed to even be here? And he's like, yeah, no. And like, we kind of get like, where is 8-Ball going, right?
Okay.
Is he going to try to be a hero? And the short answer is, yeah, he's going to try it. He's going to try to be less of a coward. Like, he's like, you know what? Like, he has his take on Moon Knight. He's like, because Moon Knight, like, everyone was always like, it was kind of cool, but he was also like this, like the second scariest. It's like Punisher and then Moon Knight, except for like Punisher, he was probably just going to shoot you, but Moon Knight, you didn't know what he's going to beat the hell out of you.
He'll probably carve your face off.
Yeah, like you didn't know. So like it was actually like really scary, but like he's come around and like Moon Knight went through all this stuff and he's able to crawl his way back out. And he's like, I'm basically 8-Ball respects that. He wants to be like that. He's like, you know what? I want to do that. And the reality is he's got to do the work.
Right. He's got to put in the work.
He's got to do the work. But he comes to that realization on his own. Like the therapist does what a therapist is supposed to do, asks him the questions and let him get to that point.
Yes.
Which I was like, good for you. That's freaking awesome.
That's great.
But that like what we're learning here though is that like it's 8-Ball coming up like talking about like his Moon Knight experience, but also then we're watching what happens with the Shroud, how like Tigra and Hunter's Moon like go after the Shroud, and like what happened there, how do we get to where we are in freaking Blood Hunt, right?
Yes,
and it's just that they have a big cool fight and like he's freaking out too because like Shroud is like also looked up to Moon Knight.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? So it's like interesting if these like two simultaneous like characters who are approaching it from different perspectives. So, like the Shroud has, been like a, walking the line kind of character. And he's kind of going down the opposite path of where 8-Ball is going.
Oh, so
right?
it's
kind of neat.
They're balancing each other out. Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's not like they're ever going to talk to each other or anything like that. Obviously not now. But we do get this really great opportunity to display the fact that it's like McKay's like, hey, don't forget, Shroud has like dark powers, and we need you to remember that. You have to remember that, right? So we get like Cappuccio doing some dope art.
Nice.
It's really incredible. The art in this book really looks great. Like I said, Cappuccio, if you look at his first issue, it's not like it's rough by any means, but you can see his artist journey from issue 1 of Moon Knight with McKay to now, like, Vengeance in the Moon Knight number 5 or 8 or whatever I said it was. I think it's 5. And it's 8-Ball. But yeah, essentially, like, Shroud kind of has the upper hand. Tigra like talks him down and like tells him, that like he's got to be better. You want to be like, Moon Knight, you're just being a coward. You're not trying. So he's like, okay, yeah, and he like gives her a hug, and they're like, it's all cool, and then he like doubles over.
Oh no!
And I was like, oh, it sucks.
Yeah, because you're like, oh, I know where that's going.
He finds his way, and then it's like, whoop, nope.
Well, you're dead.
Yep, continues in Blood Hunt.
Yeah,
I'm like, cool. But like 8-Ball makes a conceited decision where he's like, at the end of his session, that, like, he was gonna stay in the mission, but he realizes that like the mission isn't here to protect him. The mission is there to protect others, the people who are still out there.
Yeah.
And so he's like, I got to go out there and help. So he meets up with others, and he's like, let's go, let's do this.
Okay.
8-ball. He says this little line. He's like, 8-ball corner pocket. And I'm like, okay,
That's nice.
okay, 8-ball.
All right. That's fun.
Sure.
Good.
Why not? Jed McKay's 8-ball is fun. Having a good time with it. Good stuff.
I love that.
Good stuff.
That's great. I read Space Ghost #1 from David Pepose and Jonathan Lau. This is, of course, a new version of Space Ghost, a brand new universe, brand new world, brand new character version. Right on the heels of Space Ghost Coast to Coast, I believe, turning 30. And Adult Swim's YouTube channel just running every episode of Space Ghost Coast to Coast on a 24-hour loop just on for weeks. Because they had it and Space Ghost turned 30, and so here you go. It was amazing to just check in with that. It's completely different, by the way. This is not Space Ghost Coast to Coast. Coast to Coast was like a anti-humor, subversive weirdo, off the wall beginning, like, you know, trendsetter for Adult Swim in general. And yeah, it was so that was exciting. And I'm sure it helped with Space Ghost launching a brand new book. But yeah, this is just a really cool concept. It's, you know, Pepose obviously did his research, he did his homework, he understands like the players and the concept. And while David Pepose actually came on the show to talk a little bit about Space Ghost, and you can actually get some more insights into how that all came about by watching that episode here on this channel. But you can see homages, references, and so forth paid off in this book. Lau is doing a great job making Space Ghost look, and Pepose obviously brought over from his work on everything over at Marvel, make Space Ghost feel like a big 2 book.
Oh, interesting.
You know? I know a lot of folk really love the DC, when DC Comics had the license for Space Ghost, and this feels like that.
Okay, so does Space Ghost come with like continuity baggage?
No.
So that might be another.
Well, this Space Ghost doesn't.
Okay. Well, that's what I'm saying. But like, so like, if you were like, you are missing out on maybe like you want to read some other superhero comics, and maybe like sometimes when you look at the long continuity that follows some of these heroes, you're like, this might be a good like boots on the ground.
Oh yeah, no, this is definitely a book that's worth checking out if you're like, I want a new universe with new characters, and you know, I don't want to be on the ground floor of something that like people have a vested interest in seeing succeed from the company standpoint.
Right.
And yeah, I love Jan and Jace and their depiction in this. I never really regarded the monkey and the kids, and you know, Space Ghost for me was always just like a cool looking Batman pastiche. Like, I don't like Hanna-Barbera cartoons overall, so this was like always a skip for me when I was able to watch Space Ghost as a thing.
Let's just put it out there. This is a real like blank zone for me.
This is a blind spot.
This is a total blind spot.
I think it is for a lot of people.
For me, nothing.
Yeah, no, my only context for Space Ghost outside of just what's the word, osmosis, is Space Ghost Coast to Coast.
Okay.
You know, where I'm like, oh, I know Zorak, Moltar, Brack. Obviously, we met the original voice of Brack at a Comic-Con not too long, several years ago, and he drew a fun. He recorded a fun voiceover for us once.
Yes.
But
I don't really.
Incidentally, if you do know Moltar, Zorak, and Brack, you're probably going to see them in this book because they know that, like, you know, whether you're a big fan of the original show or you're a big fan of Coast to Coast or you're a big fan of the DC book, the only baggage that's going to be ascribed to this series is from you. So worth checking out.
Right.
Cool stuff. I was surprised. I wasn't too surprised because I was also conditioned to I knew where like that this was coming. I got a chance to read this ahead of time.
Sure.
But just getting a chance to like pick it up and read it, I was like, this is cool. It's cool.
You saying all those names is like you cast a spell to me. Like that's like I just have no context for this book.
Yeah, no.
But that doesn't mean it's not interesting. I mean, I'm just like,
no, yeah.
That it's nice that to know it doesn't come with baggage because it makes it more approachable. Because it's such a blind spot for me that I'm like, would I even be interested in picking this up if I have to know all these things? But if I don't, hey, that's fine.
That's true. You don't need to know anything to get into this, which is pretty rare. So worth checking out.
Awesome.
So yeah, that's cool.
That's
Space Ghost.
Fantastic.
I'd say at least read the first issue.
All right. I read Flash Annual this week.
You did.
I did. I was like, I gotta read this.
Yeah.
Right. We gotta know what's happening here.
Right. Because this is just another issue.
This is just another. It's a 43-page long issue.
Good.
This was a big one, folks. So if you are reading,
So for everyone who's not reading it, which is most people,
if you were reading the Flash, you had to grab the annual this week. If you thought you were gonna get a reprieve in the annual this week, welcome. You didn't. But again, Flash lately has been feeling a little bit more super heroic. I don't know if that is a decision or if that is an ask from DC. I don't know. I have zero concept of it, but it's definitely been feeling a little more standard superhero-y, but it has a lot of like all of the stuff that a lot of the baggage it came with, right?
Yeah.
Which is great. I do like this baggage.
Absolutely.
I like this baggage a lot. But this is giving a little more context to like the plan slowly unfolding.
Yes.
Right.
Different art teams, by the way, from the original series.
Yes, I apologize.
No,
Let's get
it's
into
right.
it. So I Spurrier wrote this. There are several artists on this, including Scott Koblish, Amanke Nehulpan, George Kambadias, and Tom Derenick. Derenick. That was the one I mean, I probably didn't say the others right, but like that was the one that
too
tripped me up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's several art styles in this. It's a little like trippy to go through those, but it is a longer book, so I get it. You know,
especially because they wanted if Spurrier wanted this to be part of like the ongoing thing and not like an annual that could be completely separate.
Yeah, this is
then you needed some support.
Yeah, this is not an individual issue at all. So yes, understandable. If you are a person who picks up an annual and you expect it's going to be a standalone story and it has an end,
no,
it's not your book. I'm sorry.
This is more like,
I'm sorry.
If we to speculate a little bit, probably going to end, like this run's going to end soon. And he's like, I could fit like 2 or 3 issues into this one annual.
I guess maybe, I don't know. Or maybe it needs to catch up for certain things for like absolute power or like, you know what I mean? Like it needs to be in certain positions.
Totally.
Because obviously there's a plan afoot, right? And like, all of the rogues are working to do something, and what are they working to do? They're really working to like take down Wally, but like in his own like in his mental state. So it's like
bring down Wally.
Oh yeah, they're bringing him down, but they're gonna take him down from that, right?
Okay.
So you know that like misty being that he's been hanging around with, who seemingly was kind of like, I was like, are you on the up and up? So she's trying to get him to like go back to things. So I'm still not 100% she's on the up and up.
Yeah,
right?
probably not.
Because like he's checking in on these moments, but they're like being designed for him to check in on, so that he hears something that like basically goes like, oh, we don't need like him anymore. We don't need Wally. Oh, Wally should probably die. Like that kind of thing. He should unalive. I apologize.
No, you could say die.
I don't think I don't know. Anyway,
you can hear.
So you know, like this is like, it's pretty messed up.
Yeah.
Like that everything has been orchestrated to take him down
in
this way.
Feels very personal.
It feels very personal. We do get a lot of the stuff I liked from Spurrier's earlier books, where it's like we go to crazy places like a math world where like he talks to like math beings, or I'm like, I'd be so lost there.
Oh yeah, definitely.
We also visit like the source wall. For a second.
Did they rebuild it?
But then there's like also some things where it's like I cannot wait to go back through this run and or just see, as Spurrier's revealing as to what's happening, how much of this is just really a reflection of what Wally's going through.
Sure.
Because like there are like these blobs, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, I saw these like in the blobosphere. They're from the blobosphere. Like they drain old people. They're parasites, right? And like the beings he's talking to are like, oh no. No, what? No, these are feelings. These are feelings, and they're attracted to older people because they've lived richer lives. Like these are things that like Wally has destroyed. And I'm like, oh yeah, because he's like pushing down his emotions because he can't deal with the fact that like he's pulling himself too thin and there's too much like on him right now. I'm like, is that where we're going with this? Because I really like that a lot. It's like that's fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot to unpack from this issue. But most of what you're unpacking is the fact that 2 more Flashes are taken, or 2 members of the Flash family are yet again taken off the table.
Right.
And they also learn a little bit about what's going on. They're the ones who actually find out that like these moments are being orchestrated for him. And Spurrier does like like a little like wink, like, yeah, villain's monologue. And the kids are like, oh yeah, the villain's monologuing. That usually means because we're not gonna be able to get out of wherever like whatever's happening. Right?
Okay.
Like, that's when they monologue, is when they know you can't escape.
Right.
So obviously we're in trouble, right? And it happens more than once. But again, inevitably they get taken off the table, like some of the earlier characters did as well via the spiders.
Mm.
So it's a hard time for everyone involved. Although, what I thought, for some reason, I thought Jay was taken off the table earlier. Wasn't he? Did I mention that at some point?
I don't
I
recall.
have to go back and look, because he's in this and he has like a really rousing speech at one point, because Barry's been taken over.
Yeah.
And so Barry's like, Aobot is like,
Oh yeah.
or Thawne is like, like being like, oh yeah, no, we gotta stop moving, we gotta stop running, we gotta stop whatever, right? There's just a lot. I really enjoy this. It's too much for me to like unpack for you all right now when we're talking about like what the stillness stands for. And like there's like some deeper meaning here for Wally. And again, I understand if this is not what you're looking for in your Flash book. I just think it's really interesting to pile all this on a character who can seemingly do everything, but it's just because you can physically do everything doesn't mean that you mentally
can handle it.
Yeah. And I think that's a really interesting concept if that's what we're really delving into. And that like the antithesis to this is like the stillness, like something that like is against change.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there's something there for a lot of us. We as human beings often rally against change. We don't care for it. It's scary.
Yeah.
And obviously, every character in the DC universe has been
affected
by change, by like,
and has also been frozen.
Yeah, whether they recognize it or not. But like in Wally's own world, he has a family that's like, like two of his kids are developing powers. There's a new baby. Like his wife had powers, and now she like, he's the Flash now. Like Barry's taking a back seat supposedly. So it's like there's change, and change is scary.
Yeah,
and it's nice. Like he likes going back to like the gardens where like he can forget. And I'm like, really like this breakdown, and I'm really looking forward to seeing where this is going. Now, of course, Waller is a part of this, which is acting more like a catalyst and less like a like, hey, let's stop everything.
Right.
So it's still feeding into Spurrier's story. So I don't know how much longer this will go for, but I'm enjoying it whilst we're here.
Yay.
So hooray. Yay.
Well, we also
also X-Men.
Also X-Men. X-Men number 34 from Jerry Duggan and Joshua Cassara.
Yeah.
What do you got? How's X-Men going? One book. Wow.
One book. Well, no, there was others.
There were others, but we're only talking about
I didn't get a chance to, because I was like, I knew we were going to talk about Free Comic Book Day, and I figured I didn't want to overdo it, especially when we added the suit in. So I was like, let's just talk the main book today.
Yep.
So this is like, this is an X-Men book, and like they're trying to do an X-Men book where it's just like, okay, I love these images of Xavier. It's like talking about his dream. A lot of the writers are working together here in order to like, deliver the message of the dream, the death of the dream. Like, does the dreamer die with it? All that kind of stuff. Right.
Yeah.
We're seeing this more from the perspective of the rest of the X-Men, who are just like, Xavier betrayed us. And it's like, if you're reading the other books, you're like, kind of like he betrayed what you thought of him. You know what I mean? Not like he didn't actually betray you mutants.
Exactly.
It's just he betrayed what you think of Xavier.
Right.
Right. Like
exactly.
Yeah. Anyway.
Cool.
So this issue's about MODOK, who like bailed on Orcus.
Yes.
But still is like, screw it.
I am a bad guy.
I'm not here for Orcus.
Right.
But like, I am here to like cause trouble, and like I still have like control over these people and like genetic like monstrosities within them. And I was like, how many villains whole thing is doing genetics?
A lot. It's a lot of geneticists in the Marvel universe.
Right.
I thought really MODOK was not really about, wouldn't he be MODOG if that were the case?
I guess. Well, he's playing around.
He's designed only for killing.
Well, now he's killing your humanity by making you into a big scary monster.
Maybe he's MODAG. He's a mechanized organism designed also for genetics.
Okay, there you go. We also check in with the Daily Bugle and Ben Urich, which I was like, oh yeah, remember that? They're being held hostage by some members of Orcus because they printed some stuff they don't care for.
Yes.
They want to do a retraction. They end up getting MODOK'd before a Firestar. Firestar? Am I right?
The betrayer, who's not really the double agent.
Well, I know. I'm always like Firestorm. No, it's Firestar.
No, Firestorm's DC and a guy.
Yeah, I know.
More guys. It's a couple of guys.
But Firestar shows up. We see Kamala spring into action. We just see like X-Men doing X-Men things. They send Wolverine, Laura, into the fray.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when, Emma does like a little announcement to everybody where she's like, hey, listen, it's your daily sort of like, hey, we're winning, but also
things are
sort
bad.
of announcement.
Yeah.
Charles clearly has betrayed us, blah, 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 blah. Now, it's hard to tell if this is just Charles needs everyone to think this.
Right, because he's also being tracked. Like they know his mind's being monitored.
Right. So either like they need everyone to believe it and buy into it.
Yeah.
Or it really is happening. I don't know. Depends on which book you're reading in the moment, right?
Mm-hmm.
Shadowcat attempts to go and save Caliban, and in order to track down Xavier, because she's like, I'm going to put an end to him. I'm done. I'm so mad. I'm so mad at everybody. And Caliban's like, I'm not going to do that. That's bad.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's not what we do. Even if they're a traitor, like, we don't do that. That's not how we. That's like, come on, what are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
That's like you're a bad person,
right?
Like that's wrong. And like, so she like loses it, and that's when she realizes like she's become what she is afraid of. Like she's become like a monster.
Yeah.
And it's amazing this moment because like Caliban's there and he's gonna leave, and like there's a voice off is like, hey, don't worry, I got this, Caliban.
Mm-hmm.
And it's Wolverine.
Yeah.
And he's like, she's not gonna go through this alone, don't worry.
Cool.
And like she has this really great moment. There's a really good conversation where like she like realizes that she's done terrible things, and that like like, how do you come back from that? And he's just like, listen, like you did what you had to do, and like you the next few decades you can deal with what you're dealing with right now,
right?
But like, don't worry about it in this moment. And she goes like, I'm not going to be on the X-Men anymore. No more X-Men.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's it. I'm done. And Wolverine's like, that's fine. I'm going to go kill Charles Xavier. And I'm like,
no, you're not.
No, you're not.
Okay,
sure, that's fine.
Yeah, no, you won't.
It is like frustrating to me that like Ben Percy's big desire to do this big, huge, sprawling Wolverine Sabretooth epic has kind of made it where Wolverine doesn't have a spotlight in this as much. Like he shows up in the other books, but we don't get a lot of like what's going on with Wolverine during this time frame in his own book,
right?
Because that's really centered on the Sabretooth thing, which is happening before all of this.
I should also point out that
so he's got his claws.
Yeah.
So
that's all that's taken care of.
And he seems fine.
He's not wearing a friggin' armor.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I get a strong feeling Deadpool Wolverine World War III, by the way, is in the post-Krakoa time period.
Yeah,
I think that's a flash forward.
Sure.
But yeah, all right, cool.
Yeah, it was a good issue, but again, like I appreciate the fact that we're still doing like this isn't just about the fall of X. I mean, it is. There's a heavy emphasis on it, but we are still seeing like the X-Men team doing things.
Yes.
Like just within the scope of what they're what is happening around them. So I appreciate Duggan for upholding that.
Totally.
That's really cool.
Before we wrap up with Blood Hunt and then getting on to our next topic, we should jump into some super chats here, like Dex Baker, who says I have to go for a run because I'll catch on the rewind. Thanks,
good
Dex.
for you.
Cat Loyal Run for Treats. ComicPop Woo excited for Toronto Comic Con Toronto Comic Art Fest this weekend. If you ever come here in May, please check it out. It's Comic Con only for independent publishing.
That's great. I love that.
Matt Fisher, did you know that Reed Richards is elastic and Sue can fade from sight? Johnny's the Human Torch, and the Thing just loves to fight. Just
I
lives
heard
to
that
fight.
somewhere.
I have heard that. Yeah. But it is ungrammatical. Aurora Borealis says, ComicPop woo to you as well.
Woo.
How'd you feel about Blood Hunt? Did you think it was deserving of the Red Band marketing? Well, we'll talk about that in just a second.
Yeah,
so thank you very much for that. Scoro, thanks for your generosity. Really enjoying Jed McKay's Moon Knight. Wondering if you guys have read Lemire's run, since I think Tiffany would really enjoy it. The whole run is 14 issues, so it might work as a back issues episode. I think you've read like at least one or two issues.
I've read a little bit of it, yeah, but I know we have it.
Yeah, we do. Jesse Gonzalez, if Disney was smart, they do all the 90s shows and release a new show called Marvel Universe where they do all the crossovers between them. Yeah, that'd be closer than ever to my pitch for a like interconnected Marvel Universe that's like essentially digital exclusive series that would be with the same voice cast all around. That'd be amazing. Chocobo Kid, just here to sending my support. Thank you very much, Choco. Thorn Identity, are you seriously going to get me to read a Space Ghost comic? Damn you, Sal. I'm sorry, Thorn Identity. But thank you very much for trusting my recommendation. Give it a try. First issue. If you don't like it, you don't have to read the rest of it. I totally understand. Sandra B, thank you very much for your generosity. Love your guys' stuff. Thanks, Sandra. It's pretty unrelated, but what do you guys think of the Kendrick Lamar and Drake hip-hop beef? I'm genuinely not thinking about it. I'm very deliberately not. I don't care, like, to a really extreme degree.
okay, so there has never been a time in my life
Where I've cared about a beef.
no, where I have ever been up on that type of I'm
Right.
just like there's something about me or like my aura that like doesn't allow me to ever know what's happening for some
Mhm.
reason. And everyone's always just like, didn't you know? And I'll be like, no,
No, I did
don't
not.
know how I don't know, but I don't know.
Yeah. No, I read, I mean,
Like I'm just so I'm like out of the loop, but I've been out of the loop forever.
Yeah.
And I will always be out of the loop. I don't understand.
Yeah, that's true. That's fair. Yeah. I saw it posted a lot and I didn't care. I'm sorry. I just don't. And Wilbert Robertson had a question that spoils Crisis on Infinite Earths of Part 2, which is essentially combining Constantine and Pariah in the movie, and wanted to know what you thought about that. So that's now you don't have to worry about that anymore. We don't have to watch that. Yeah, so let's talk about Blood Hunt. Blood Hunt #1 from Jed MacKay and Pepe Larraz is the latest Marvel Universe event that sees the Marvel Universe plunged in darkness. No, we don't have it. And watch as Earth's Mightiest Heroes falls. And that's basically the first chunk of it is watch Earth's Mightiest Heroes, which is Jed MacKay's, series, get just completely picked apart / maybe even killed by a whole slew of brand new characters that represent the Blood Coven, I believe is the name of their team. I don't recall.
Yes.
We want so meet the Blood Coven and all those wacky characters. Meet the Blood Coven. And so they're fun and distinct, and they all have different powers, and you can see them explained in very minute detail about who they are and what they do, and watch them as they display their powers by also defeating each member of the Avengers, but not before a couple of members of the Avengers are sent away by a sacrifice from T'Challa. But that's not why we're here. We're here because then Doctor Strange shows up.
Yeah.
And and Blade is also involved. Like, we saw Blade deal with Miles Morales Spider-Man. I don't know if what is to become of Miles. I don't know, but based on the last page reveal, it's like, oh, Blade is like, well, we'll talk about that in a minute.
I feel like there was no last page reveal. I feel like the event leading up to that with the Avengers, I was like, not the event, but like in the issue, I was like, oh, well, okay, I know what's happening.
Yeah. Blade has betrayed everybody, and he's the architect of the Blood Hunt.
Right.
And that has a lot to do with I'm sure what happened in the Blade series, which I did drop off on. So I couldn't tell you, but yeah.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was you can't go wrong with Larraz's art. I mean, like, I really, really enjoyed it quite a bit, and it was really fun for me to see these characters that I've been reading along with MacKay now in Larraz's style.
Yeah.
Like to see Tigra.
Oh yeah.
And Hunter's Moon in a totally different style. I'm like, oh, cool, like fun. I'm not saying I like it more so than Cappuccio, but it's just neat. I always I do like Larraz's Doctor Strange.
Yes.
I like his Clea quite a bit.
They're
totally.
Fun. Yep.
And I mean, I just like his style.
Yeah.
I really do. But yeah, I mean, Strange shows up. I knew this was gonna happen from the get-go. As soon as I knew there was a vampire thing. Doctor Strange has a very well-known vampiric brother and ties to it. We specifically mentioned the Montesi formula, obviously, because MacKay's like, we got to get that off the table. Got to make sure.
Gotta make sure nobody thinks about doing that.
They're gonna use that, and I'm like, Jed, other than like you, possibly myself, and a couple of other people, no one's thinking about the Montesi formula. Unless
you Google like top 20 Doctor Strange stories, then that might come up.
Oh, it'll come up. Yeah, for sure. But this is very much something I'm interested in. It feels like a modern, I don't want to say successor, but like spiritual branch off from some of the Spirits of Vengeance stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I got a real strong feeling when I was reading it that I was like, oh, this is interesting. This is a public attempt, I think, to kind of normalize the Midnight Suns world. Yeah. Look at how powerful and scary they are, you people who like Avengers. Yeah. Maybe you should buy a Morbius comic or something.
Right. Or the fact is, it's listen, the heroes you think will be able to save you probably won't be. It's going to be these other people who are going to dig deep and figure this out.
And they're also pretty cool and extreme. So you might really enjoy them. And also Dracula. Blah. Yeah. I didn't read.
I knew I'm doing I'm making fun of it voice, but I'm like,
you're so here. I mean, it's a smart move that may help like this could boost sales for Moon Knight. It could also legitimize a Midnight Suns office at Marvel and a whole bunch of different books, and maybe a return of crazy books like the Darkhold series, or even just seeing Lilith come back in her original form. Maybe seeing one of the Kubert's drawer again would be cool.
Right. It'll be interesting to see if he keeps Strange not being a vampire.
I mean, we already have a bond. We have another Doctor Strange to be a vampire.
I know. I'm just saying, like, because I know McKay really likes Clay.
Yeah, that's true. It could be the Doctor Strange
like,
vampire.
but like, I feel like, unless he's trying to do if he's doing a like branch off of like Spirits of Vengeance, Midnight Suns, then you got Blade's daughter, you have Clea, you fill in the rest.
Yeah,
you'll have Hunter's Moon.
Yes, I think that theory time. I think that if Doctor Strange is like bled or taken off the table, he'll return in his Spawn suit.
No,
I'm just telling you. I think that's what's going to happen.
No one wants that.
I think
I really hope McKay doesn't remember that. Please.
I mean, there's no way he doesn't.
Please don't remember.
They put that in a lot of different ads.
Please don't remember it and want to see it again.
Jed's watching the show like, ooh.
No, Jed, don't do it.
He's got the spikes on the gauntlets. Anyway, it was fun. It was a fun book. I enjoyed it. I thought it was cool. It was neat to see like the Avengers like doing their thing. Oh, I don't read the Avengers, so I was like, oh, they have a Watchtower too, huh? Cool. That's neat. That's new. I assume it's a crazy city that was from some alien race that died out that they inherited.
Listen,
living in a freaking hollowed out celestial.
I loved the rules, because here's the thing, like, what kind of vampire rules are we dealing with? Well, we know they needed to be dark.
Yep.
Sorry, I thought it was a little spider, but it wasn't. It was a fuzzy. I was like, do I have to have a meltdown on stream? We'll see. And I also like the fact that it's like they have to be invited in. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
me
it's
too.
like,
Yeah,
you got all these things. I'm like, perfect. We need to know these rules. Yeah. McKay also again, like you said, introducing these characters who have like very specific, traits.
Yes.
But it's up to you to figure out who's who in the lineup if you didn't look at something ahead of time.
Yeah.
But I like their designs. I think they're fun.
They're very distinct.
They're very not quite like Soulsborne, but a little bit.
Yeah, very much. Definitely. Yeah, I recommend it. I think it's worth checking out at the very least. And yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I do see in chat. I also do kind of like wish that they were just like, you know what, Blade's gonna be British, and they're like, nah.
Listen, you just have to read it in a British accent.
Yeah, but he's clearly not that.
No, he's Wesley Snipes. Yeah, we know. Arduit says, ComicPop Woo, now I really need to watch your Adventure Time.
I need y'all to watch.
You need to watch Adventure Time so you can compare Blood Hunt to the Stakes series. It's basically at Blood Hunt before Marvel. Cat Lawyer also says, have you read Apocalypse versus Dracula? Looks curious. No. And finally, for our book of the week, what is the book of the week?
What's your book of the week?
I think I gotta give it to Deadpool and Wolverine World War III #1.
Ooh, that's a good one.
It was an easy read. It was fun, great looking art, and if they can keep the momentum, then it'll be a fan favorite series.
I want to give it to Blood Hunt because I really had a good time, but I think I'm going to give it to Vengeance of the Moon Knight for McKay's ability to balance it being a tie-in issue, but also not just fully disrupting his own ongoing run.
Absolutely.
So it's just a well-handled tie-in.
Yeah.
Up for that.
Before we get into our next topic, our final topic of the day, that's it. So if you haven't already, there was a little poll we had running on the live chat, which said essentially, what are your first reactions to the Superman suit? You're welcome to vote again or vote now that you're here. Once you see it, which it is here, it was posted by James Gunn, director of Superman, no longer called Legacy, now just called Superman,
right.
2025, on his Threads page. Obviously, everybody has their Threads account, and they saw it first thing this morning. But yeah, first reactions to Superman suit. We have 3 categories: love it, hate it, and not the worst, but not my favorite. And incidentally, the #1 winner of this poll is not the worst, but not my favorite. But second highest is love it.
All right.
Which was encouraging.
Oh, wow.
And only 4% hate it, at least as the taping of this episode right now.
Right.
But a lot of interesting things. The thing to point out before we even get into the nitty gritty and the details here is that apparently everything in the picture was achieved in camera. There are no effects being put on Now, that could be just for the suit. He might not be referring to the ball of energy that's blasting Metropolis at that moment. But
I mean, that could be a picture.
I think it could be a picture. It could also be they could be using like some kind of infinity room, or it's just like the inside of one of those balls that you put your hands on and to zap your fingers. Who knows? But he said, yeah, everything here it was 100% in camera, which I thought was interesting. It was an interesting like point to bring up.
They're like, he looks like this.
Yeah, he looks like this is him. And David Cornsworth's like 6'4", so like he's an imposing looking dude, despite this like very casual pose. Now, one thing that I want to also mention, and I think you probably keyed into this as well, is the pose, the choice of here. Reminds me it's similar to another book that James Gunn is a big fan of.
I don't know if because this is what I thought of immediately.
Immediately, me too. Was Superman sitting on a cloud effortlessly, just kind of like glancing over his shoulder in a kind of casual way.
This is all I could think about. When I saw this, I was like,
this picture tells a story, but this picture here that on the screen also tells a story that I think is really like, it's an interesting point, which is like, first of all, the suit is scuffed up. There's like black marks all over it. There's soot. There's wear and tear.
Yeah.
He's putting his boots on.
Yeah.
So my assumption is that he's like
puts his boots on 1 foot at a time,
that's
just
right.
like the rest of us.
I think they're deliberately saying that. I think they're saying like he's like a firefighter, like just got back from one case, boom, there's a big orb in the sky blasting crap.
Yeah.
I'll put my boots back on, just getting ready. Now, obviously, I saw a lot of people making fun of it where they're like, oh, I don't know if you noticed it, man, but there's a thing in the sky. You better hurry up.
He might be doing it really fast.
We're just capturing one moment, so who knows? But I'm not here to speculate on anybody's like hatred of this,
or like just having fun with it.
Just
have fun,
Exactly. But let's get into the details.
Yeah,
and then we'll get into endless speculation.
It's so funny because like the suit for me, it so takes a back seat. But that's my take on it. Like, it's the storytelling. For me.
I don't care necessarily.
This is like Gunn being like, this is a Superman who was raised by 2 human beings.
Yes, he's just like, okay, here
this is how my dad put his boots on.
Exactly.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, I really appreciate everything about it. And again, like, I do really think it is you don't have to pull it back up. I do really think that it is an
all-star.
To all-star. Just like this is the first image you see of All-Star is him just sitting here. He's like, it's not very heroic. It is intrinsically Superman because you can see the city, much like you can see the city here. You know what I mean? But he's just having a moment. There's nothing heroic like in the standard way.
It's true.
But yeah, suit wise, I'd love to hear your take on it.
Well, it's clearly Jim Lee's New 52 Superman suit inspired. Like there's a lot here that I just immediately recognize from the piping, like the Kryptonian armor, so to speak, all over his suit from the knees and his forearms and shoulders to the collar. That says to me New 52. But there's an interesting blend that is being done here with this suit that I want to point out, which is like it takes a lot of elements that were not New 52, incorporates them into the New 52 suit, making essentially a new suit that I really enjoy. For one thing, the Kingdom Come S. Incorporating that S completely changes the look and the tone of the suit. Adding the yellow behind that S, changing it from black to yellow, again changes the tone completely. If it was the Kingdom Come suit or the Kingdom Come S on a New 52 suit with the black behind it, I think okay, darker tone. Maybe a world where Superman. With the yellow says more optimistic, brighter. But also I think offsets the look. It makes it more not futuristic, but different. And then you can see if you're looking in that direction, he's got 2 elements that were not included in the New 52 suit: a belt, and trunks.
See, I couldn't even tell that the trunks were there, but everybody was talking about them, so I was like, okay.
Yeah. But if you add those elements to the look, you suddenly get a look that I'm not hating. Like I kind of love it. Superman, I will say Superman did have a belt in the New 52, but it was a red belt and it really didn't break up the colors. It just kind of like, it just was red and it was there. But the yellow belt with the red trunks, interesting. It was an interesting choice. And I think it's one of those things where they're like, look,
Are they sure that everyone's certain that the trunks are there?
I'm pretty sure. I'm
he could just have the belt.
I think
for no reason.
I'm 99% sure it's Trunks. But yeah, this says something to me. Like, this is something that's very different, but familiar and similar, and also sets itself apart from the rest. Like, and I think that, you know, when you had Cavill's suit, you know, you were looking at that compared to the Reeve suit, the Routh suit, and that's it. You know, you got two suits to compare it to.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, you have the Reed suit, the Routh suit, the Cavill suit. You've got the Superman and Lois suit. You've got the Brandon Routh CW Kingdom Come suit. Like, you've got a lot of different suits to compare it to, and everybody's like really like comparing it, which you have to. Which is also why I think they were like, let's do a blend. Like, let's do, you know, obviously you could just do the Kingdom Come suit, which they did on CW, and it worked.
Right.
It worked so well. Even though it was on the body of a person who wasn't Kingdom Come, you know, it's like, that's Brandon Routh who was picking up the mantle from Christopher Reeve, but whatever. And then there was I think there were two suits from the Superman Lois show, where you had the earlier suit where it was much more inspired by the classic look from Action Comics, and then the more modern look. So you got a lot of different looks. They really needed to set this apart, but they're like, how about this? Like, how about this, like this blend of two different or three different ideas that are married together to make this idea? And I'm like, that's cool.
Yeah.
Also, we live in a post Spider-Man Marvel Cinematic Universe world where he's gonna have two other suits. You guys sell two different action figures of Superman.
Well, we'll say. I mean, like, you know, like, even in this one, we're not seeing it in its pure state.
Well,
which
yeah,
I like.
There were a lot of
still, like, you're still gonna see something new because you're seeing it clearly, like, you know, changed color here.
Absolutely. No, I mean, like, when you see the light catch the knee, you can see it is very blue. It's very blue.
Yeah, but the top part of it isn't,
because of all like the scuffing, and also because it's got shadow. So, you know, it's got a lot of the elements that I was looking for. I wanted the boots the way they are. I wanted the suit to be brighter. I wanted the yellow incorporated into the suit multiple times. I love the cape. The cape looks heavy and it's striking, and it's a great color, and I love that it's incorporated into the suit in live action. Like, I love there's a cape there. I don't expect them I don't expect it to be in there when he's flying in CG and I expect it to be CG then, but at least when he's sitting and he's standing and he's talking and he's interacting, that's going to be a cape. It's going to sit there, and that's really cool. I never liked the collar. I don't mind it here. But again, it's like it's a different translation from live action to New 52, and
maybe
and
his
also
neck's just really long.
I mean, he's a tall guy, but also I find that you know, the New 52 was such a clear departure from what had come before, and I don't think the New 52 suit was great. But also I was comparing it to what I could have, which was, you know, the post-crisis suit, and every iteration of Superman suit post New 52 has been an attempt to bring it back to the post-crisis suit. If we have a Superman that's going to be around for a little while, we could see an evolution the same way we saw the New 52 suit. We could see a rebirth version. We could see a Kingdom Come version. We could see a pre-crisis or post-crisis version. So yeah, as far as initial reactions go, I dug it. I was like, this is cool. This is okay. And it tells a story, like you were pointing out. You know, there's a lot going on in this picture.
Yeah, like for me, it was like I did not even think about the suit until people started talking about it. I was just like, wow, we're getting a real idea of who James Gunn's Superman is just from this image. Like, that's what I took away from it.
Yes.
It's just, you know, there's an emergency, he's getting ready, but like he does it like a person, not like a god.
Right.
And it doesn't mean that he isn't as powerful.
Right.
It's just that he doesn't think of himself in that way.
No.
You know, it's just this quiet moment for someone who has like a ridiculous amount of like abilities and powers. Like, that's really cool. And it makes me think of a book I really like.
That's true. And Gunn likes as well.
Yeah.
Now, all right, what about the orb in the sky?
It could be anything.
It could be literally anything. It could be Brainiac's ship. It could be War World. It could be the Sun Eater from All-Star Superman.
Could be.
It could be, you know, Mogo, the Green Lantern. It could be any number of things. I don't.
It could be. it's colored. Here we go. And it's colored like, a little like super, like Lex Luthor. It's got the purple and the green.
It's true.
It's more purple than green.
Yeah. There. I mean, but there is green in there.
Oh!
Yeah. There. I mean, it could be nothing.
And the orb is just an orb.
Yeah. I mean, well, it could be a threat that we're never going to deal with because Superman had 1,000 adventures.
Yep.
And this is like a post-credit sequence where he's just done the movie. And then he sits down to take his boots off, and then this thing is in the sky, and then we never really pay it off. Who cares?
Yeah, exactly. It's the Dragon Balls.
Yes, it could be that. It could be Frieza. We don't know.
This is an epic crossover that everybody will be excited to see.
Naturally, yeah. Well, that's funny. Everybody on the internet definitely has been like, "Well, who could win in a fight, Goku or Superman?" But they also will never see it in a movie. Like they would never go to the movie to see it.
Additionally, there's really not a situation where like a non-compromised Goku or Superman would fight one another.
Right, because they're heroes.
Like, so the truest versions of those two characters
would never battle.
Unless it was like for fun.
Right.
And then
it's like a foot race or something.
Yeah.
So anyway, this is I did not expect this today. I was excited that they gave it to us today of all days. For off the rack.
I freaking love that. Yes. Well, I love that they did this too, because this image still lets you reveal. Like, you get the reveal of the like suit when he's actually standing up.
You get the cleaner version of it.
You get the clean suit. You'll be able to see him like, in another scene, like
flying, interacting.
This is literally, I think this is Gunn being like, this is different. But if you've read some of like Superman's comics, you know this guy.
Right, exactly. He's familiar. I'm hyped. I don't know if I'm not frothing at the mouth, but I'm really excited. Like, I'm genuinely looking forward to it. And I think it's really cool. But let us know in the comments down below or in the poll we put up what your thoughts are as well. Yeah. And we'll see more to come. I mean, I'm excited because, we've had a lot of reveals as far as like who's going to be in this movie, including Green Lanterns and Metamorphos. And so I can't wait to see those as well.
Yes.
I think that James Gunn is a smart guy when it comes to how to depict these characters. He's had 3 different Guardians movies to introduce any number of characters and has done a phenomenal job of doing so. So as far as how they look, I think I can trust it. But yeah, I'm excited. Looks cool.
Yeah.
So let's talk about some comics that are coming out this week that we think you should check out.
Absolutely.
Spider-Man Shadow of the Green Goblin is coming out. I can't wait. I love this series. I've only read the first issue, but it is the best Spider-Man book starring Peter Parker in a long time. So it's definitely worth picking up. Definitely sending a message to Marvel. But of course, it won't because Amazing Spider-Man is the #1 book every goddamn month.
Yeah.
So we lost. Captain America #9. I like this book. I saw a lot of people hating this book, and I was like, wow, really? Okay, well, whatever. Captain America's still good. Fun stuff. Batman 147, that book is coming out as well. More Batman. This is a problem because I actually really kind of enjoyed the last issue or 2 of Batman. And I know that the Failsafe story will not be resolved here. Because Failsafe is a major player in Absolute Power.
Right.
Damn it. And of course, Birds of Prey #9. I've been loving the series. I'm really excited because it's got different art on it, including that done by our own very special audience member occasionally, Gavin Guidry.
Nice.
I think his style definitely is perfectly suited for this world, for these characters, and I can't wait to see it depicted as such. But I've loved this series from the jump, and so I'm happy to see it continue. And I think the people should be reading this book if they haven't already.
Right. Come on, people. What are you doing?
I don't know. Right.
Oh my God. I don't know if I'm gonna really read all of these. I'm just gonna take a peek at them.
Right. But just to remind people that they're out. Oh my
gosh. Seriously? Wow, this is like the tie-ins for like Blood Hunter out of control, people.
Yeah.
Out of control.
Did I tell you, apropos of The Last Mermaid, I saw them at the C2E2.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I didn't do anything because I was like, nah, I don't really know them. I don't want to be like, my wife really likes her stuff.
I mean, you're allowed to do that.
I guess that's true.
Yeah. So, Last Mermaid #3 is coming out. So if you've been reading that series, you can grab that. There's a bunch of tie-ins this week for Blood Hunt. So be aware, folks. Be aware. So, for example, Avengers #14 will be a tie-in.
Yep.
Makes sense. And
since it's written by Jed McKay, probably one that will matter.
Yeah, or like you hopefully it'll be in good hands if you're just enjoying the Avengers story.
Exactly.
Additionally, Doctor Strange #15 going to be a tie-in.
I see he's got fangs in the cover, so I guess he got vampired. Thanks, cover.
I mean, I kind of figured maybe we'll see. I mean, you never know. Covers lie all the time. Like that's like what they do.
Yeah,
that
yeah,
is their jobs.
Bleh.
Blood Hunters is also going to be a tie-in. If you're interested in that,
That exists.
Christos Gage, Erica Schultz, Mark Russell,
Bernard Chang
on art,
Bob
Bob Quinn.
Javier Garden.
Yeah, it looks like it's a probably like a bunch of little stories.
I would assume,
but like could be kind of fun. Like Man Wolf's in it, and Hawkeye, and Cloak, which makes sense.
Yes.
Well, Dagger. Sorry, Dagger's
right.
in it.
Yeah, Cloak was a whole.
Cloak's having a problem.
Yeah, he does.
It's fine,
What
but yeah,
is
if
he?
you'd like to see, the Sailor Moon that is the Marvel Sailor Moon, which I claim to be Man Wolf, you go for. Dracula also has a book coming out.
Yeah,
it's not a tie-in. It's one of 3.
I
probably will pick
miniseries.
Yeah, I might pick this up. We'll see. I'll check it out. Maybe. I don't know how interested I am in
Dracula.
In that, I mean, I like him when he's in other series. I just don't know if I want to read his book necessarily.
His book starring Blade's daughter. We'll see.
But also, Strange Academy will be back for a hot second. With a Blood Hunt tie-in series. It's not necessarily a tie-in. It's one of 3.
Yep.
But it will not be written by the original team or worked on by the original team. It's going to be written by Danielle Jose Older, with art by Luigi Zagaria. So if you want to check that out, that'll be out there for you guys. Just, like I said, it's a lot of tie-ins. The Deviant number 5, written by James Tynion IV, with art by Josh Hickson, will be back. And then for X-Men this week, I'm going to be picking up Wolverine number 49. This penultimate issue for Wolverine. He's got his crazy suit. Let's see what happens. And then X-Men Forever number 3. I love this book. Kieran Gillen, art by Luca Maresca.
Nailed it.
Definitely love this book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So before we get into that, we should also say thank you to Dwayne Simpson, who said, I just wanted to say I love you guys so much. Well, thank you very much, Dwayne. Also that I finally have Superman Supercorp and the House of Brainiac special. I really love this new era of Superman. Me too, man. I'm digging it big time. And Swordfish97, thank you very much for your generous super sticker. We do appreciate that. And
I also want to try to toss it out there. I know we don't really talk about this stuff because this is like, it's more pop culture.
Yeah.
But it was like really, really sad to hear that Bernard Hill had passed.
Yes.
If you're a Lord of the Rings fan, it was like King Theoden.
Yeah.
It was like, it hit weird where
I
was just like, oh, okay, yeah, he was older. But then I was like, that's really sad. Like, it's really sad. And like, I didn't realize how much of his performance really makes a lot of the movie that he's in.
Oh yeah.
Like that, like he is a king. And it was just sad.
It was, yeah.
Just shout out there.
I agree, yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
And I also want to give one more recommend possibly. If you like Scotty Young as a writer, you might want to go grab the first issue of Ain't No Grave. It'll be put out by Image. It's Scotty Young and Jorge Corona.
Oh,
just
cool.
it out there.
Jorge Corona is, I believe he's doing some Transformers. I don't know about that. But yeah, we want to thank you so much for watching. We want to thank our super chatters for sponsoring today's show and for the chat for being cool. Of course, don't forget, check out Tiffany's streams on twitch.tv/ComicPop or on youtube.com at ComicPop Plays. And of course, subscribe here so that you can get more updates about what's going on in the world of comics on Monday nights when we do Off the Rack. We've got Elseworlds Exchange on Fridays. Actually, tomorrow I'm going to drop a special bonus episode of Elseworlds Exchange, which is going to be a conversation between myself and Matthew LeDrew of the Right Project. We're going to talk about our favorite single issues of Ninja Turtles. So if you are a Ninja Turtles fan, or if you are interested in becoming one, you can check out that episode. Just watch me and Matt talking about classic issues of Ninja Turtles.
Nice.
Fun issue or episode and more. I have a choice to make between 2 episodes of back issues that are going to drop on Wednesday, and I don't know which one I'm going to pick, but we'll see. I'm really excited about it, and hopefully you will be as well.
I love it.
And
it's not this. I'm just holding this.
No.
I didn't want to hold it down anymore.
We did that already. But yeah, we'll see you guys next time. Thanks a lot for watching, and we'll see you then. Bye, everybody.
Bye.